I didn't really take application. I think that was right.
Freilich and Purim. Happy Purim to everybody. It is Purim. Hi, da ya ya dee 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 da la la dee 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 dee. Ya dee 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 la la la. Ya da 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 da. Ya ya. Ya da dee 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 dee. It's Purim. It's time to be freilich, to be full of joy. Full of joy. Yes, absolute joy. What's the joy? Lots of reasons. As a matter of fact, that's what we're speaking about in Tanya, is about joy. First, let's make a l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai v'chelam shehakol niyeh b'dvarei. L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim yiracha. Not the real l'chaim. It's David's coffee. So, but today we have to know, we have to say l'chaim. You have to say l'chaim means to life over wine or liquor until you don't know the difference between blessed is Mordechai and cursed is Haman. And then you don't know. Got it. Okay. So how could you not know the difference? Isn't it quite clear? Haman was a evil person, planned to annihilate the Jewish people. That's pretty evil, right? Huh? Pretty evil? Or you mean ugly evil? That's an ugly evil, right? So how can we say that you shouldn't know the difference? How would that make sense? So the answer is, say l'chaim. L'chaim. The answer is, ultimately, that Mordechai is a blessed person, a good person, and Haman is a cursed person, an evil person. It's not because we came to that understanding ourselves, right? And now, therefore, it came through knowing. It comes from beyond knowing. In other words, it comes from God himself, who's not limited to our knowledge. As God states what is good and what is bad. We don't state what's good and is bad. God does. Even when it comes to something so obvious, it is still based on the fact that God is the one. So it's beyond. In other words, we take it from not my own mind, because if my own mind will decide what is good and what is evil, then you'll become a Haman, you'll become a Hitler. That's what will happen, right? Hitler didn't like the Jews because they introduced or developed the conscience of the person, right? That there's, in other words, conscience is something beyond your rationale and your own reason. Reason can be bought. Your reason and a logic can be bought off, in other words. It can be bought off. But our faith in God, that he teaches us in the Torah, right from wrong, well, we give ourselves over to that. And therefore, we say l'chaim until you don't know the difference. Okay, welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Tzich Kadesh from Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We begin chapter 34. Of course, a continuation previously. So we spoke about different levels of joy. A joy of entertaining in your mind and your thought process, the unity and oneness of God. And therefore God is close. And not only that, but that gives God a pleasure. That I think about him, that I meditate upon his all-encompassing being that I am not separate from, but a part of. That's powerful. And that gives pleasure to God, that we overcome our natural self of just thinking about self, right? About thinking about self. Instead, that's natural to think about yourself. What's unnatural, that you become beyond the human condition, divine, is to think about God and his unity, his oneness. Now, with this, we know, it's known that the Avos Hein Hein Merkava, the patriarchs, they constitute a divine chariot. What does a divine chariot mean? It means that they were ridden by the master of the universe. They were just, I don't know, there for the ride. I wouldn't say, that's not a good way to say it. They nullified themselves so much so that their whole identity was only that of the master, of God. The patriarchs we're talking about. Yeah, patriarchs and the prophets, right? They similarly nullified themselves before God, right? And their soul and their understanding of godliness, they completely were just a conduit for the divine. Moses is the epitome of it because God spoke through him. That the Shekhinah, the divine presence, spoke through the throat of Moses. Now, he was totally surrendered to the divine, that his very words that he uttered were divine words. Even though he's speaking, but what's coming out of his mouth are words of God. That's how much he was. Now, the truth is, folks, we experience it, the Jewish people experienced this at Mount Sinai. This complete submitting, complete identification, complete enwrapped in the divine at Mount Sinai when God spoke the two commandments. I'm the Lord your God, and there should be no other gods before you. But our souls couldn't take it. It was too much. Our souls took flight. It was just too great of a revelation for the soul to maintain it. So our souls took flight. As a result of that, God commanded that we should make a sanctuary. And in the sanctuary, in the Holy of Holies, that's where God would reside. So God resides first with the patriarchs, the prophets, the ultimate prophet Moses. We had an experience of it at Mount Sinai. Then there was a collective experience in the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, then the two holy temples. And God's presence was palpable, was real. And therefore there was a easier way, shall we say, to surrender, to experience the unity and oneness of God. Ever since the temple has been destroyed, now we only have 4 cubits of halacha, our sages say. We have the Torah study. It's the sanctuary that's an abode for God. It's the Torah is what brings the unity of God in a revealed way. We kind of sense it when we learn, like we're learning now, right? How we're uplifted. I mean, this is what we're talking about, this unity and oneness with God, that we're not separate from him. that might be a more difficult thing to truly experience. I don't think you're not going to experience it, but it is happening, right? We are being united with God in a revealed way in our Torah study. Even if we don't experience it, that's the fact. Therefore, if a person meditates upon this idea, right? Meditate upon this, reflect upon this idea, even if you don't have great intellectual capacity, but meditate upon the fact that in our Torah study, not just that we're learning, but in our Torah study, we become united with oneness with God, unity with God through Torah in something that a thought cannot grasp God. But through Torah, he gives us the capacity that we could grasp something of God. We could comprehend. Now, we're not going to comprehend like the patriarchs did and the prophets and Moses. Okay, but each one of us in accordance to our capacity. And therefore, we make it a sanctuary and abode for God every day when we come here to learn Tanya. Every day. And we should do it during the day and at night, fixed time. You have a fixed time here every day to learn. We have it together, a fixed time. We're making an abode for God in us. Even if all you're doing is learning a chapter a day and a chapter at night, you're not learning a whole day. You're not making a abode. You're not a chariot like the patriarchs. We're not. We learn here, we learn there, but we make a fixed time.
Is that the reason why Moshe said that the Torah is not far from us?
What do you mean by it's not far from us?
I think it was in the book of Deuteronomy.
Kikar v'adavar?
It's near to us, it's not, you don't have to go abroad or
Right, that was about, yes, but that was more about that it's close to us, that we can have mastery of thought, speech, and action. It's more that's more the emphasis there. The emphasis over here is to think about the fact that in the Torah study that we engage in, right, that we become an abode for God. We become an abode for him. We are hosting God right now in our Torah study. That should bring great joy. So thinking about that even though we're not the patriarchs, we're not the prophets, right? We're not Moses, who really got and understood the divine God, right? But the fact that we set aside specific times to study Torah, we are making ourselves a host for the Almighty. We become a sanctuary, like the sanctuary that was a home for God that was destroyed, right? The Holy of Holies was the home for God. It was destroyed. Our sages say that now through Torah study, we become that sanctuary. So the holy and righteous people, they're constantly that sanctuary. We are, when we devote ourselves to Torah study, we become that sanctuary. Now, the point is that when you meditate upon this and think about this, reflect on it, it should bring you to joy. That's the point. That's the emphasis over here. Right? And that verse, it's not about joy. That verse is about being aware that you have self-mastery. Right? Here, the emphasis is this awareness should bring us to a joy, which is powerful.
What about awe and humility? That's how I see it. Because when I think about simcha, I think about
Right. So, yes, that's true what you're saying. And we did learn that notion already about the awe in right. Right. The point over here where we're going since chapter 25 is how to maintain joy in your life. Because there are things that happen in life that make it difficult to be in a joyous attitude. Love and awe are emotions. Hello? No. Yeah, he speaks French.
Tu es un français, juste français. Tu parles seulement français? Quoi? Tu parles seulement français? Non, je suis juif et français. Oh, juif, comme demain, je peux être juif et canadien. Ah, ok. Vous avez fini le FUS, vous avez tout fini, il n'y a plus de lecture de Megillah. Vous allez en faire de quoi? Vous n'avez pas fait une lecture de Megillah ce matin? Oui.
Is it okay to cry for Mashiach? Or doing tshuva, I'm for it. Yeah, but don't cry for Mashiach, I'm for it.
Ok, et je vais Maxime, vous pensez que le fond est maintenant aussi? Non, Maxime,
Kind of full of life.
Je l'ai vu il y a 15 ans, moi, je l'ai montré.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to go to Rambam.
Sénégal, comme je connais. Ok.